Thank you very much. Yeah, really appreciate everybody checking it out. Yeah, good, thank you. Yeah, we're good. Obviously, as you can see, that was a labor of love. That was a lot of, it's quite a journey putting that together in so many different ways. You know, I want to thank everybody who contributed and helped us out and put this thing together. It was like I said, a big challenge. So I'd love to answer questions if anyone has any about what we did or how we did it or that sort of thing. So, yes.
I asked you earlier, I'm just kind of curious, what is your end game? It's a lovely piece of work.
Thank you.
You know a little bit about my background, so I'm interested in where you want to go with this.
Well, I absolutely produced this with the goal of it being, having some sort of theatrical aspect to it. You know, I think there are, the tests we've done showing this to multiple audiences in different parts of the country. We showed it at TIFF, Toronto. The response has been very broad audience like this. People who a lot of people who don't like science fiction actually were taken by this, and I've actually had people say things like, "I never got it until now," which has been really interesting. People who didn't like science fiction were like, "Okay, I kind of get it," you know, which is very interesting. So I'd love to have this have some sort of at least limited theatrical run of some sort, and then obviously I really would like to see this take its place in on some sort of a streamer, a high-end streamer, you know, something like a Netflix or a Amazon or Apple, something like that. You know, we definitely, you know, obviously there's some challenges when it's a very competitive marketplace, but that's where I'd like to see. And I obviously tried to make this at a quality level that could work on one of those platforms. So that's definitely my goal. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So where's that cockpit now?
The cockpit. It's in my backyard. No, it's it's in storage at Pinewood Studios. Yeah, it's still there. So I'm going back to England at the beginning of December, and I want to see if we can have some meetings with Pinewood to see. First off, I mean, I've actually pitched ITV, who are the owners of the Space 1999 concept, a couple of reboot ideas, and we got really close on one of them. And so they basically said that if there's ever a shot at doing something, they might talk to me about it. So I want to bring them over, show them the cockpit, talk to them. So we're going to screen this in England, which will be exciting. So yeah. Yeah, I'd love to. It's a bear. It's a big unit, and you know, and everything. So, but it is built incredibly well. So it's something that we could transport and everything. So we'll see what happens. Yeah.
My takeaway from this, and fantastic film, by the way, was the idea of a course correction. Right? We had the Wright brothers, 66 years, the moon landing, the Apollo, and kind of the vision of the future, and we somehow got off that track.
Yes.
And you mentioned that during the film that you wanted to kind of get back onto that track.
Yes.
Do you see this as being maybe part of maybe a larger project or foundation or something bigger to course correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting that you say that because obviously, I do feel like we're on the wrong course right now. You know, and obviously the things going on with commercial space exploration, they're happening, but. What happened with NASA was at such a big scale, and it really impacted our culture in ways that I think a lot of Americans don't really, the whole world actually, but you know, I think a lot of Americans don't realize it to the degree. And I'd love to have, I'd like to do a trilogy of these films as a starting place. I'd like to do a sequel that's specifically about Star Trek: The Next Generation, which is a series that impacted me even more than The Eagle did in a lot of ways. I saw that show, I think I was 19 years old when it first came out. So I actually want to go forward. It's like I was 7 years old when that came out, and I want to talk about, I was a college kid, you know, and what was the impact of that. And there's a whole story that we could tell there, and I think it'll blow people away. You know, that's a sequel. I'd also like to do a third film that really goes to other things that impacted me as a kid. Like you think about, there were shows like the Bionic Woman or the $6 Million Man, right? I watched that when I was a kid, and I loved that. Lots of us did. But you know, nowadays we actually have real bionics, and we have, you know, the robotics and things that are going on with this sort of thing. So it would be fun to like hang out with Lee Majors, talk to him about that, and then actually go see what's really happening with cybernetics and bionics and that sort of thing. And I you know, it goes on and on. There was a show I watched called The Man from Atlantis when I was a kid, and there's Patrick Duffy, and I'd love to talk to him, and then go and there's actual I think it's Google that has this there's this unit they have in I believe it's in Jamaica, where they're actually learning how to talk to dolphins, and they're making huge advancements with this right now. which I think would be super cool. So my point is, I think that there's several movies we could do that could, you know, along these lines, and I think goes a lot bigger than just, you know, obviously the Eagle was my starting place here, but there's, you know, my whole life has been much bigger than that and everything. So yeah,
That's great.
Yeah, so that's a starting place. So yeah.
I was gonna say too, I was just the whole looking at NASA thing again, because I saw it earlier before our interview. Daniel Newmeyer, he's the director of education for Space Center Houston. I don't know, do you know him?
I don't.
But
Yeah.
he's somebody too, because he's really into education of kids.
Yeah.
You know, like see what you did here so much with the kids.
Yeah.
That should be an amazing thing also, because that's what he's all about too, is like, let's get the space program going, and he's been
Yeah.
working at it too, but this
Well,
would be
they're
amazing.
hungry for this.
Yeah.
The kids are hungry for this, and I have to tell you, I was nervous showing this 50-year-old TV show to fifth graders. Okay, I did not know what they were going to think. I actually was worried that they would laugh at it. But the truth is, they thought it was awesome. They were like, we love the special effects, we like the costumes. They actually really got into it,
Yeah.
and it was very genuine. I have to say, even watching this again, I can't how many 1,000 times I've seen this, but that little girl, when she said she was inspired by Barbara Bain, that was real. I didn't tell her to do that, you know, and I can't tell you how surprised I was by that, and the fact that my friend 50 years ago had been inspired by the same thing. So I do feel that there's a chance to take this and you know, I think you could build a curriculum around it. There's a lot of different things we could do, but I was trying to make this as a film that could work for all ages. So
Yeah.
it's really important. So yeah. Anything else? No. Nick Tate. Oh, go ahead, real quick.
Why
yeah.
did your mom not make a Commander Koenig?
Why did my mom not make
For
it?
Halloween? So that she made Kirk.
She did make the Kirk for me.
Okay.
She did do that.
But
she
that
did
seemed like a natural.
I think she was just kind of done after
Okay.
the Kirk, you know, and everything. So yeah, I think that the Kirk when she made that for me in third grade, you know, and I think that was kind of
Done.
Yeah, that was it. That
Okay.
was it. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. I think she probably saw it as like, how would I make that? You know, it's like, you know, so, yeah. Yeah, so, but I was very lucky to have parents who supported me in this sort of thing. I was really, really lucky for that. It was a big deal. So, yeah. Yes.
Have you had any conversations with Lucas Organization at all?
You know, we actually tried to get George to come and everything, but he's so engaged with building his museum right now that he just didn't have the bandwidth to do it. But the connections that put me together with Shatner and others, they've actually worked a lot with George as well. So Lucasfilm is aware of this and everything, but I desperately would like to talk to George. I'd like to talk to his wife, Melody Hobson, also. These are people that that I think would get this and be excited by it. I'd love for George Lucas to see this film. Yeah, I'd love to make that happen. So, you know what? I'd like to have an opportunity. Nick Tate is with us tonight and everything. Nick, you want to tell Nick, you want to come up for a minute? Come on up. Yeah. So, I, again, don't have words for how much it meant to me for this guy to join me in this project. I was a kid watching this TV show, and I was, like I said, 7 years old watching him, and here we are. And it was amazing, and I cannot thank you enough for joining us and helping us with this project.
Well, it's 52 years ago we started right here. I can't believe it. I don't feel any different from how except that my body feels differently. It was a great thrill to do it, and I have had the great pleasure of, over the course of 50 years, have been invited many times to Space 1999 conventions and seen the great love that people have. A story that it's very interesting being obviously with Star Trek fans. They have deep knowledge of the show. But I was at Wonderfest, one of the conventions, which was in fact the one that you came to where we met.
Yeah.
They asked me to come, and there's been conventions all over the world every year for Space 1999. You may not know that, but there have been. It's nowhere near as big as Star Trek, but nonetheless, little groups of 1,000 people here, 500 there, 300 here, 5,000 there, and every year I get asked to go to them, but I don't, because it's kind of like a wonderful marriage that I had that finished a long time ago. It's coincidentally, I met my wife between the shows, and we're still married today, 50 years of marriage. And we should be applauding her, because nothing. she's the wonderful person here. But I really didn't see there was any point in me trying to all by my own engender the likelihood of a new series. All the fans always have wanted it, but of course it couldn't happen. It didn't happen. It nearly happened several times, but in the end, you know, we're here 50 years later. And then I get invited very recently to a Star Trek convention. I had been invited to the very first convention I was ever invited to was a Star Trek convention, and there was a breakaway there where some people wanted Space 1999 to go ahead, and some of the Star Trek people didn't want it at all. So that was very interesting to be in that, and then a second time 50 years later to be invited to another one. And I've just come back from that. There were 25,000 people there. And the people that invited me had no appreciation, no understanding of how an actor from another television series would have been accepted. But fortunately for me, I played 2 starring roles in Star Trek. I did Next Generation, one where I played a drunken
Captain Durgo.
Captain Durgo, who liked to drink rocket fuel. He was pissed half the time. It was great fun. And then another episode of Deep Space Nine, where I played a character who was not unlike
Donnie Brasco.
Donnie Brasco, yeah. Because they like doing rip-off shows. I had people lined up down the line to sign autographs. It was staggering, saying how much they loved the show. Oh yes, the one that I was going to tell you about. Now those are people that love the science fiction and are fans. But at this Wonderfest thing, there were people like that there too. And I'm sitting here amongst all the eagles that were behind me, and a man comes in a 3-piece suit, about 70 years of age, silver hair, and he's standing and he's looking at the eagles and stuff, and he looks at me and then he goes, "It's you." Oh my God, it's really you. And I stood up and I said, "Are you okay?" And he said, "Oh, I can't believe this was my favorite show." And I'm thinking, are you a Star Trek, are you a Space 1999 fan? He said, I've never been a fan of anything. I just love this show. And I said, well, what are you doing here? And he said, I'm in a business conference upstairs, and I saw this, and I thought, I remember that show. I can't believe it's you. And he came over to me and he said, "Can I shake your hand?" I said, "Yeah." And he was trembling. And so I said, "Come here." And I gave him a big hug. He burst into tears in my arms. I have lots of Space 1999 people doing that, but here's a guy who's never been a fan of anything. It just was his memory in his life. And he said, "You don't know what this means to me." And I said, "No, man, you don't know what it means to me." Thank you. So that's lovely. You've done a great job, man. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm gonna go.
Thank you. All right. Well, any last questions or comments or anything? Okay.
Thanks.
Oh,
How did you feel when you saw Nick on Star Trek?
Oh, when I saw him on Star Trek?
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I remember I was watching the first, I think it was the episode, it's called Final Mission in the 4th season, right? And I see this character walk up, come out of this shuttle. I'm like, oh my God, that's Nick Tate. You know, I thought it was so cool. Yeah. And I figured the people working on Next Generation had to be fans of Space 1999 as well, you know, which is pretty cool. So yeah, it's a big deal. Well, anyway, thank you so much for coming out. We really appreciate it. It's a huge honor to share this film with all of you, and hopefully we're just going to keep on going with it, get it to the next level and everything. Oh, real quick, Jasmine is spotted. Real quick. Come here for a minute. I want to do something.
That's right.
So Jasmine is my publicist, and we've been working together for a number of years. And when I told her I was making this documentary, do you remember what you said to me about, we were talking about Space 1999? You said,
Yeah, I do. I told you I grew up watching Space 1999, and tonight I have to confess in front of all of you that I had the biggest crush on Captain Carter.
That's great, that's
Yeah.
great. Well, you also told me you always wanted something, which was an eagle. So from my collection, I brought you, this is an eagle for you. Yes.
Very special. Very special.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
All
Thank
right,
you.
yeah, you're welcome. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everybody.
guys.